You're watching Euronews now. Here are today's top stories. Italy's Prime Minister Mario Draghi resigns. President Sergio Mattarella accepts his resignation after Draghi failed to win the support of his main coalition partners. Could Russia widen its war on Ukraine? Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warns that the Kremlin is no longer limiting its efforts to the east of the country. And French President Emmanuel Macron promises to speed up efforts to reduce emissions as wildfires continue to blaze a path of destruction across Europe.
Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi has resigned just one day after being snubbed by coalition partners in a vote of confidence in the Senate. Speaking to Parliament this morning, Draghi thanked lawmakers and stated he was going to meet with President Sergio Mattarella.
In light of the vote expressed yesterday by the Senate of the Republic, I asked that the session be suspended because I'm going to the President of the Republic to communicate my decisions.
Draghi will stay in office until new elections are called, which could take place as soon as September.
Italy's Prime Minister Mario Draghi has resigned. Well, for more on the growing political turmoil, our correspondent Giorgia Orlandi joins me now from Rome. So, Giorgia, he hasn't hung around. Take us through the steps that led to his resignation.
Hi, Mariam. Well, back on Tuesday, it seems that the situation was going to improve a little when we heard that an increased number of senators was ready to back Draghi's coalition. And we also heard that Draghi himself was going to give his government a second chance. But what followed next clearly showed a different scenario and clearly has taken everyone by surprise. And it all started when the centre-right bloc table its own political demands, a little bit like what happened with the Five-Star Movement a few days earlier, requesting a cabinet reshuffle, requesting that five-star lawmakers should be excluded from the current coalition, something that clearly Mario Draghi wasn't going to implement. It was pretty clear yesterday when he said that the only way forward is if there is unity and provided that all political parties are ready to renew that political pact that he said has kept us together. So clearly that wasn't the case. And yesterday was an historic day. Mario Draghi himself looked quite tense when he actually addressed Parliament. An historic day that clearly marked the end of his government, only after 18 months since that government had been sworn in. Mariam?
Now, Giorgia, Draghi was, of course, seen as the safe pair of hands. So where does this all leave Italy now?
Well, as we know, today, President Mattarella's office issued a statement confirming that Draghi reiterated his resignation, that the government will stay on to manage current affairs. But clearly, the country is set for early elections that could take place as early as next autumn. There's already a date for that, the 2nd of October. And now that also means that much-needed reforms are going to be delayed, in particular those reforms that are needed to receive the rest of the money from the EU's COVID recovery fund. And we know as well that Italy is set to receive the largest share of those funds. And there's a package of measures that has to be approved within a certain deadline. Recent polls suggest that Italy's next Prime Minister could be from the centre-right bloc. Those polls actually gave Brothers of Italy, one of the main far-right rather, parties in Italy, around 23% of the vote, which is quite significant. And in fact, the leader, Giorgia Meloni, could become, perhaps according to political analysts, Italy's next Prime Minister. But what we noticed yesterday in Parliament is that all political forces have already embarked on their political campaign. And also, it's worth reminding ourselves of the fact that under a centre-right government, Italy's alignment would be much different from what it is now, especially with regards to its relations with Europe. It would be less pro-European than it is now. And so this could become a little bit of a game changer, especially when it comes to having to deal with the war in Ukraine, the energy crisis in the next few months.
Almost 5 months after the start of its offensive, Russia is broadening its objectives in Ukraine. In an interview with Russian state media, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Wednesday that the objectives of Russian forces were no longer limited to eastern Ukraine, but also concerned other territories.
The geography is different now. It is not only the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, but also the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions and a number of other territories. And this process is continuing steadily. We cannot allow the part of Ukraine that Zelensky will control, or whoever replaces him, to have weapons that will pose a direct threat to our territory.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian First Lady Olena Zelenska, on a visit to the United States, asked for more armed deliveries to fight the Russian invasion.
I am asking now for something I would never ask for. I am asking for weapons. Weapons that would not be used to wage war on someone else's land, but to protect one's home and the right to live at home.
In recent weeks, the Russian army has been advancing in the Donbass, breaking the double lock of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. The fall of these cities opens the way for Russian troops to advance further west into the Donetsk region.
In the heat of the summer, the European Union is preparing for winter and a possible gas shortage. As Russia threatens to stop supplies, the Commission has presented its master plan with a list of suggestions to save energy.
Russia is blackmailing us. Russia is using energy as a weapon. And therefore, in any event, whether it's a partial major cut-off of Russian gas or total cut-off of Russian gas, Europe needs to be ready.
Phase 1 of the master plan is voluntary. Member states will be asked to reduce gas consumption by 15%, starting on the 1st of August and lasting 8 months. And if Russia goes ahead and turns off the tap, the Commission will declare a, quote, union alert, meaning that saving targets would become compulsory. Businesses and consumers would also be asked to help, limiting central heating and aircon.
Do we need to have the lights on in empty office buildings or shop fronts all night? Do we have to have air conditioning set at 20 degrees? Could be higher, couldn't it? Of course, it might reduce a bit of our comfort, but it might also reduce a lot of our consumption.
For big industry that guzzles gas like chemicals and metals, the situation won't be easy. They could be obliged to reduce their production. This would be done in a coordinated manner, and there'd be a kitty to compensate their loss.
First, we have to identify the companies that can be stopped and from there see how much energy we're going to save. It may happen that some companies right now with the high prices don't find it worthwhile to reduce and decide, well, now that we have this aid, we're going to stop. From there will be some remnants of energy that can be used by other industries that do really need it. But I think everyone has to share the effort. We cannot show solidarity between states and then see some industries within the states fighting with each other for that energy.
Like a lot of Commission plans, one word at the heart of this one is solidarity. Some EU member states are, of course, more vulnerable than others. Whatever happens, the situation is grave and could get ugly if Russia cuts Europe off completely. Maeve McMahon, Euronews, Brussels. We'll take a short break here, but do remember to head over to euronews.com for all of our top stories.